10 is not enough anymore. I think 11 is not enough anymore. We've got a dirty dozen of films that we watched and we want to talk about, and glad you're here to help us do that. Let's dig in. This is the Screening Room Podcast.
Are either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
He's sorry. You waste our film.
It's so bad.
Welcome. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com. Yeah, 12 new flicks in theaters and for streaming. Well, 12 and a half if you count.
That's right.
My shirt here, because if you let us do a shameless plug about our movie, it's October now.
That's
it's
right.
Officially spooky season.
Indeed.
So we've got one for you, a fun horror comedy called
Obstacle Corpse.
Obstacle Corpse.
That's right. It is on Tubi for free. It's also on Prime. It's on Plex and Fossum. It's on a bunch of the streamers. It's super fun.
She wrote it and she directed it.
He produced it, and he has a memorable, if small, role.
Just remember, I'm okay.
That's right.
If you watch the film, I'm all right. I came out of it. I don't know how, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you probably guessed by the name, it's about one of those mud runs, those obstacle runs that a woman takes on to try to prove her worth to her stern dad. But what she doesn't know is that some people have been invited on this course just to be hunted.
That's right.
So yeah, it's fun. You
It is.
like blood splatter? Who doesn't? You like
Yeah.
F-bombs? Who doesn't?
Yeah, that's right.
We throw them together. Yeah, and it's 80, what did we say, 88 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, it's sort of Battle Royale meets Caddyshack.
Right. We didn't say that. Somebody that we respected, and we love it. So yeah, Obstacle Corpse. Check it out. We'd love it if you watch it this spooky season and let us know what you think. Okay, on to the big releases, and we'll start with, boy, I think this one counts for award season.
First up in theaters, the story of mixed martial arts and UFC champion Mark Kerr. It's The Smashing Machine.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson. We've really going back to something as early as, remember that movie Be Cool?
Yeah.
And he had that small part in
It was
that.
the only good thing about
And
that.
you're like, this guy,
Yeah.
this wrestling guy, he's got something.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the things that has kind of held him back for some roles is his size.
Yeah.
He's so huge. And they've hidden it in some roles and other times make it work for him. Well, this one, it's totally organic.
He actually
because
had
he's
to gain bulk. He had to get bigger.
Yeah, as he's playing MMA fighter Mark Kerr, Ohio native.
That's right.
From Toledo. Did not know that. And he's got the bulk. And if you've seen the trailer, seen the stills, he also has some slight facial prosthetics. It's not too much, but it's enough to make you say, this just doesn't
You
look
forget
like
it's him.
And he's got some hair too.
Well, it's funny. I think when he loses the hair, he looks even less like him. And I think it's because in real life, he's got a bit of a cone head. So I don't know what they did to his head, but he really doesn't look like himself.
He does. And I'll tell you, this is an amazing performance. His best performance ever.
Easily.
He's just great in a really good movie. This is Benny Safdie,
Right, the
director.
Safdie brothers.
Benny Safdie, Uncut Gems.
That's right.
The Good Time. I mean, and this one, he's paired up with Emily Blunt, which is not a bad thing.
No, never.
She's great, and she has chemistry with just about everyone. And of course, they've already made one movie together, The Jungle Cruise, which was pretty fun. So you can tell they're very comfortable with each other and their chemistry, and they're great together here. And that's really the crux of the movie, because it's not a typical sports movie.
No.
It's not glamorous. It's not glitzy. It's gritty. It's a lot of cinema verite style, shaky cam. You think it's sort of documentary style. So I think anybody who's maybe an MMA fan coming in to think that this is going to be rousing
Rocky
music, and no, not at all.
No.
Not at all. This is a character study, two characters really, and another one too. His Mark Kerr's best friend and another MMA fighter, Mark Coleman, is played by an MMA fighter, Ryan Bader, who I don't believe has ever acted before. I could be wrong. If he did, it wasn't much. He's also very good, because that's an important relationship in Kerr's life as well. And this is set back in the beginning of it starts in the early 90s up through the late 90s up through the early 2000s. And these guys, MMA and UFC, had not taken hold here. But it had in Japan. These guys were rock stars in Japan. And so they were doing a lot of fighting over there, trying to get as much money as they could while trying to push the UFC and the MMA style of fighting here in America. But it hadn't taken hold, so they weren't making that big dollar that the guys are now, and the women too. And that's fascinating to see the start of a sport that we come to this movie knowing has just blown up. And these guys helped to blaze the trail. And I think that's one of the things that Benny Safdie is trying to say here. And the toll that it took on this one man in particular, and by extension, his family, his girlfriend, Dawn, played by Emily Blunt, and his friends. And it's subtle and it's effective. I mean, this giant of a man who is the smashing machine out to hurt people as best he can is so gentle, and he likes listening to easy listening music, and he's soft spoken, and he has his outbursts, of course, but he just tries to be a gentle soul moving through the world. And Dwayne Johnson is great at bringing that out. But his relationship with his girlfriend, very volatile. And they go back and forth. And I'll tell you, there is a scene where they're having a fight. And it's played out to Jungle Land, Springsteen fans. Let me tell you that. Which is great. And it's a great needle drop. It is. Because that's such a long song. And they don't use all of it. But he uses a lot of it. And their fight is epic. I mean, it brought to mind that fight in Marriage Story because it's so raw, and they're hitting really, they're digging into nerves that they know are going to hurt the other person, and they're great. It's great acting and great writing, and it's really a heartfelt story. And even though we're big sports fans, we're not MMA fans, UFC fans, but that doesn't matter here, whether you are or you aren't. I think you'll get caught up in the story, and what this man and his small influx of family and friends, and how he moved through the world at the beginning of something that he was not, unfortunately, going to benefit from the way they're benefiting from now. But he set the stage for that. And I think, again, that's one of the things that Benny Safdie is trying to say, and just give these guys their due. And it catches you up a little bit in a nice way at the end. So just don't go in thinking, like you said, it's going to be Rocky. It's not at all. It's not that kind of movie. But I really think Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt both could be remembered come awards time, because we're used to her being great. Come on.
Yes.
But he is just fantastic, and really a nuanced role that requires more than just being huge, which he's got that down. But he's really good. So yeah, it's good. The Smashing Machine. It is out in theaters now.
Next, in northern England, a man heads out on a journey into the woods to reconnect with the estranged hermit brother with whom he shared a complicated past that was altered by life-changing events decades ago. Daniel Day-Lewis returns in Anemone.
It's been a while.
It has been. He has not made a film since The Phantom Thread in 2017. So
That's a great one.
8 years. Oh my God, of course it is. So great.
And it's a good reason for coming back, because his son is co-writing. Well, he helped write it with him, right?
Yes.
But his son is directing.
Yes.
Ronan.
Ronan. And it's a pretty simple, basic story about two brothers. One who is played by Daniel Day-Lewis is a hermit. He lives far, far away from everybody else, well out into the woods. And then Sean Bean plays his brother, who goes in search of him because he's wanted at home. And so, little by little, the film sort of unveils why he's wanted at home, what's going on there, what he's doing out in the woods,
And you mean wanted by the law?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So
I wanted to make that clear.
Right. So
he's needed at home.
Someone else is wanted by the law, and that's the reason why Ray is requested.
Okay.
And it's Samantha Morton who's the one who's back at home. Always immaculate. Such an incredibly great actor. So understated, so perfect in everything. And then, Sean Bean, actually, he's always a quite very reliable actor, and he does a great job here. But of course, the reason to watch this is Daniel Day-Lewis. And you almost forget how magical it is to watch Daniel Day-Lewis act. Not unlike There Will Be Blood. He's on screen for probably 15 minutes before he says a single word, and there's just in his just sort of raw physicality, you figure out so much about this character. And then he does have a couple of, I mean, he does talk the rest of the film, but he has two sort of big soliloquies that are amazing, incredibly well delivered. The first one is so vulgar. And then the second one is really very touching and moving, is where he finally sort of bears his soul. But in between that, this relationship that they're showing between him and his brother is very interesting. And it's really gorgeously filmed. It's mainly out in the woods. And the cinematography just really captures kind of the elegance of this rugged landscape. But then every so often, Ronan Day-Lewis pulls back and gives you something really painterly and surreal, takes you out of the nature of the film and creates something very specifically unnatural that is always breathtakingly gorgeous at the same time. It's a fascinating filmed movie, and the soundtrack, the score is also really just perfect, just spot on, evocative, makes you think of sort of the European, Irish, English, grungy songs of the late 90s, early 2000s. And I just think that it's really well put together. The story itself is maybe a little bit too simple for the way it's being told. And maybe I think they kind of wrote themselves into a corner, and the resolution feels like it's not as big and messy as the movie maybe required. But it's a small nit to pick. It's a really gorgeous film. It's a great film to hear and look at. And Daniel Day-Lewis is, again, just a genius.
Is this Ronan Day-Lewis's first feature?
It is his first feature. He has directed a couple of shorts and some music videos, but this is his first feature.
Well, he always knew he had a certain actor in his back pocket.
That's right.
He could probably get to lead that, and boy, that's a good one.
Yeah, one of the best, if not the best.
So Anemone, that's in theaters right now, starting this weekend.
Next up for spooky season, a loyal dog moves to a rural family home with his owner, only to discover supernatural forces lurking in the shadows. As dark entities threaten his human companion, the brave pup must fight to protect the one he loves most. It's Good Boy.
Everybody's talking about this one.
Yeah.
And I was reminded, I was having a conversation a little bit back and forth, I believe it was on our TikTok page, with a woman who said the idea reminded her of episode 2 of VHS, where they put a GoPro on a dog.
Yeah.
So that's not what this is. When we say point of view of a dog, the dog is the main character.
Yes, yeah.
In this film.
Yeah, he's the lead. And he's the face that you see in almost every scene, and his is the perspective that you get. So there are phone conversations, there's a video going on, but that's about as much of a focus as it would be if you're paying attention only as a dog. And it's an interesting way to tell a story because, they can't give you any exposition, right? And so they keep the story somewhat simple, and you do have to pay attention because there's not like there's text on screen or any explanation as to what's happening. You have to be paying attention. But it's also, we were talking about, often in a horror film, the best way for a horror filmmaker to make sure that an audience is engaged and frightened is to put children in peril. And I would say that Ben Leonberg may have found a better way, because the whole time you're like, oh my God, don't let anything happen to this baby. He's such a great dog.
The dog is Indy. Indy in the movie and Indy in real life.
And he's the director's dog.
The director's dog. A certain specific type of retriever. I forget what it is. So I'm sorry.
Duck trout.
Duck trout.
Yes, I looked it up.
There it is.
Yeah.
Duck trout retriever. Well, he's just the best. He's the best boy.
He's the best boy.
And it's amazing how emotional the dog is and how responsive. And as you go through this, it's not I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's a scary movie. It's a creepy movie.
Yeah.
It's a
Spooky.
ghost.
Yeah.
Spooky is a good word. Yeah, it's like a haunted house sort of ghost story. So don't expect a lot of blood and guts at all.
No.
It's got some creeps and some spooky scares like a haunted house might. But this dog and the way he moves around and wondering, looking at something in the distance and what is up and caring about his owner. You can tell this face that he cares and he's scared. It's an amazing performance because if we're going to put Dwayne Johnson down as a nomination, we're going to put Indy down too right here because it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing performance. And it's good too because you think, well, that's a gimmick. Yeah, I suppose it is, but it doesn't wear out its welcome because it's really not a very long movie.
No, it's not. It's well under 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's 80 minutes. And it would be hard to carry it out any longer, given that there's no exposition. There's
Right.
there is a structure to it. There is a very specific story being told, but it's hard to explain that when you're only getting the dog's perspective. And I think the film does a good job of doing that, but it would have been tough to pull it out any longer than they did.
Yeah, it really would have been. And it speaks to a nice metaphor, not overly complicated. And the great final shot tells a lot. So it's just, there's really just a lot to like here.
Yeah.
Especially if you love dogs, and if you don't like your spooky season movies too extreme. This is right there, right in the middle. And I know, just in talking with people about this movie, there's one big question that comes up, and we don't want to spoil anything, but how'd you say it this morning on TV?
You'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
Is what we're saying. You'll be okay. And enjoy Good Boy, as we did with Indy, and that's in theaters now.
Also, for spooky season, a couple's vacation at a secluded estate is upended when they're forced to share the mansion with a mysterious couple. A dream getaway spirals into a nightmarish maze of sex, lies, and manipulation, triggering a battle for survival at Bone Lake.
Well, here's one that I think I'm out of step with a lot of people. I'm seeing a lot of love for this movie, and God bless you. Not for me at all. I thought it was stupid, silly, and really one of those, when people get mad about the marketing campaigns for A24 movies, I totally get that. I do. I totally get it. This one is that way for me. I think this one promises something that is not delivered at all.
Yeah.
If you've seen the trailers, and maybe you've seen the one specific poster where there's a great big R rating right next to Bone. Okay. And the picture on it. And so you're thinking, okay, we're gonna push some boundaries here. We're gonna go for some blood and some lust, and we're gonna go earn that R rating. Not only that, but one of the first conversations that one of the two, it's two couples here that have rented the same incredibly mansion in the woods, Airbnb. And when we first meet the one couple, they're having this conversation about artistic expression and pushing the limits. What is gratuitous, and how cancel culture has threatened artistic expression. I'm like, okay, we're going to go for it, aren't we? We're going to go. Plus, there's an interesting prologue, which, looking at the trailer, they use a lot of at the very beginning, because there's a good bit of nudity in that. And then once that's over, it plays it pretty safe. And it goes a long way before you're thinking, where's that R rating that I heard so much about? But these two couples, they both get the same Airbnb. And so, of course, two good-looking couples, what are we going to do? Well, of course, we'll share it for the weekend, and we'll get to know each other. And the one guy has...
We would be like, get the F out.
Exactly.
There's no way we would just be
okay.
like, we just don't like people that much.
That's one of the things.
Share food with you or talk
that's
to
one
you
of the
later.
things. But or talk to you at all.
Oh no.
Right. Exactly. Not everybody's that way, but I'll give that to you. But as it goes on, the couple, the main couple, I guess, Diego and Sage, they're idiots. They're a couple of first-class idiots. Even if they are caring enough to go, okay, it's a huge mansion, and we want to share it. I mean, the things that they miss and that they let go, they're idiots. They're idiots. And the internal logic of the film too, there's a number. I'm willing to let some things go.
Yeah.
I really am. But as it just builds up and builds up, like, come on. So, and there's not any of this lusty, the sexiness to me is about as sexy as a wet dish towel. It's just not there. There's nothing that the movie promises is there. And if you've seen, it's trying to be a bit of a mashup between Funny Games, A Perfect Getaway, with some of that new White Lotus sensibility sprinkled over top. And if you've seen any of those things, you know exactly what's going on.
If you haven't, just watch them.
Yeah,
watch those.
You can pick it out really early what's happening. There's a couple of moments where they try to throw you some sleight of hand, but everything is pretty well telegraphed. And then by the end, finally, when the blood starts flowing, they splatter some blood and earn that R rating, I guess. But up to then, you're like, this is a snooze fest. And if people are loving it, great. I feel like Malignant, that I hated so much, and that people love it. Just know, I mean, if you like it, that's great. Just know going in, it's not what you think. This Boner Lake, no. No. I mean, I didn't say it. It was on the poster. I thought it was.
I didn't like it either. In case you think that he's just some pervert that was hoping to see a bunch of sex, it's just not very good.
No,
it's not very well written.
Yeah.
The internal logic doesn't hold out.
It doesn't.
It looks good. I mean, it's
and
well shot.
I could give you some examples of that internal logic, but it would be too much spoilers.
Yeah.
Although if you've seen the movies I'm talking about, you probably know already, and it won't take you too long to figure it out. So yeah, this to me was a total waste of time. But if people are loving it, you do you, man.
That's right.
And that is Bone Lake in theaters now.
And will stay in theaters. Trapped in their Hollywood Hills home, a family fights for survival when caught between a raging wildfire and a pack of savage coyotes.
Here's something. I didn't know Justin Long and Kate Bosworth were married.
That's right. I wondered because they are both in several, and you know what? I almost brought this up with the Boner Lake. The greatest Airbnb horror movie of all time, of course, is Barbarian. And the two of them are in that. She's
Same
the voice.
deal. Oh, we both rented it.
Yeah.
Much better. See Barbarian.
Yeah, see Barbarian. Justin Long, of course, is in it, and he's great in it. And she's the voice on the phone. And I'm like, I know that voice. So
no,
anyway,
I was this week years old.
That's right.
When I found that out. But that's great.
And they play a married couple in this movie. And it's Colin Minahan is the director. And I'm always I'm interested in the films that he makes. He made a movie a few years ago called It Stains the Sand Red.
Yeah.
That I like very much. It was almost like Castaway, except that it was Brittany Allen instead of Tom Hanks, and it was a zombie instead of a volleyball.
So a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different. But I liked it. I liked that movie, and so I'm always interested in what he's doing. And Justin Long, he has a great way about him. Sometimes he plays kind of a jerk, which I like.
Yeah. I
like that as well. In this, it's the dodgeball version, of him, just likable and dorky.
Joni
and
loves
doofus.
Chachi.
Yeah. He's so good in this. And Kate Bosworth, he's a cartoonist. He's finishing his latest comic book, and they keep telling us he's not spending enough time with his family because he's always, drawing. And they live in the Hollywood Hills, and then there's a power outage, and there's a fire, and this is all being caused by, which they don't know right away, this pack of really angry coyotes. And it's like Bone Lake. It's a movie that keeps telling you it's something it's not. The poster says, eat the rich, although at no point, I mean, clearly they must be rich. They live in this house, but they don't, they come in from a grocery store. They're putting their own groceries away. They don't seem like, they just seem like our regular family.
Like the 1%.
Yeah, they don't have servants. They don't have a super nice car. He's doing his own yard work. It doesn't. And then at one point, his arc, the lead, he's what he's supposed to be doing at the very end when he's crying whiff of death. He's got to man up. He's just not spending enough time with his family, and he's let them down because of his chase after fame and fortune. Except that the whole movie, we've only seen him literally in the room with his wife and daughter. They're in the living room together. They're eating pizza together. They're watching a movie together. They're playing charades. So you're like, you're telling me the opposite of what you're showing me. And then the other problem is what you're not showing me. I'm just going to be just out with it. Almost none of the carnage is on screen at all. Almost none of the attacks are on screen at all. You see some coyotes and they look nasty. But, other than that, there's a lot of reaction shots. One person catches fire, but what do I want with a person catching fire in a movie called Coyotes? What sense does that make? And it's, and I think it's mainly because, they turn away. It's a lot of reaction shots because it's a comedy. It is essentially a comedy, but the problem is it's not funny.
That's a problem for
Brittany
comedy.
Allen she does a great job. She's a sex worker who is visiting the horrible man who lives next door. And she's always wrong-headed the entire film. And she's very funny. And it's whenever she's on screen, at least, there will be something surprising. But on the whole, I was so disappointed. I really had some high hopes for this. I thought it would be fun. Maybe I thought it would be a fun waste of time, but it's it's
That's-
pretty meh.
That's sort of what I thought about Bone Lake. I thought,
Right.
okay, I'm in for this. Yeah, so a couple of disappointments there.
Yes.
And that's Coyotes, also in theaters.
Next up, the latest in the VHS series. A collection of Halloween-themed videotapes unleashes a series of twisted, blood-soaked tales, turning trick-or-treat into a struggle for survival. VHS Halloween.
I'll be right back. I have to return some videotapes. Well, we were just talking about the VHS
We were.
franchise, which goes back a ways.
It does.
Man.
Yeah. And this is the 8th.
Whew.
I believe this is the 8th.
Well, about time they got around to Halloween then.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of individual
Yeah.
have been around Halloween, but in this case, because they've been very themed in the last several, a lot of times it's a specific year.
Mhm.
We had 94. We had, and this one, yeah, it all takes place on Halloween night, and of course they're found footage, short films. It's an anthology. If you're not familiar with the VHS brand, and it's one of the better episodes of the franchise. There are a couple that are kind of meh, but on the whole, there's one, Paco Plaza, who did Wreck. He does one, As Above, So Below, and it's creepy. It's creepy. It's a very traumatized man and a police squad return to a crime scene to try. The traumatized man keeps saying that he killed all these people, and they keep saying that's literally not possible. I mean, your fingerprints aren't on anything. You didn't do anything. Please tell us what really happened. And he can't. So they go back, and it is a pretty creepy episode. I really enjoyed that one. And then there's one called Fun Size that it started, and I thought, I'm going to hate this because it's full-grown adults in a car. They're like, it's crazy. Let's trick or treat. And then they show up at the door, and aren't you too old to be trick or treating? And he's just, but then there's a bowl that says just take one, and they take more than one.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And then it gets really nuts, like really nutty in a way that I found delightful, full of carnage, like a great balance of like confection and like face melting. I really liked Fun Size. And then the very last one, and I can't think of the name of it at the moment, but it's about a father and son who do a haunt in their backyard every year. And the son now doesn't want to do it anymore, but they do it anyway out of guilt. And it's really charming and scary and fun. I have to say, of all of the episodes, because I'm sure I've seen every VHS at this point, there's a surprising amount of child slaughter in this series of videos. So just like, I guess, know that going in,
Yeah,
like,
good to know.
I mean, it's focused on an evening that's mostly about children,
Right.
trick or treat.
So
but I was episode after episode, like, wow, we are killing more children. Wow. I guess I didn't think that would happen every time. So know that going in. But I would say on the whole, it was one of absolutely the most fun of the VHS films in quite a long time.
Might even say Fun Size.
You might even say Fun Size.
VHS Halloween, and that one is that
It's
there?
on Shudder.
That one's on Shudder. All right, we love the Shudder, so that one's available to watch now. VHS Halloween.
And next, the story of Jean, a 15-year-old orphan who witnesses the shoot for a film adaptation of the fairy tale The Snow Queen and becomes fascinated by its star, Christina, an actress who is just as mysterious and alluring as the queen she is playing. Marion Cotillard stars in The Ice Tower.
Anything she's in.
Oh, man. Oscar
Anything.
winner, obviously,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
she's so good, and she's perfect in this part. And this is from a director, and I can't pronounce her last name, Lucille Hadzhaligovic.
There's no way.
She's married to Gaspar Noé.
Yeah.
Which,
Who's
again,
in this?
He's in it. Yeah, he plays the director, a movie director. I didn't know they were married. I was also this week years old. But that's great. And yeah, this is set in the 1970s. And Jean, a 15-year-old, is in a foster home. One of the older kids in the foster home, so almost like an older sister, maybe surrogate mother for some of the younger kids there. And she just dreams of an escape, has to get out. So she runs away one night and finds some shelter in a warehouse to go to sleep out of the elements. But then when she wakes up, she finds out that warehouse is being used by a film crew, director Gaspar Noé and the crew to, I mean, he's not playing himself, but he's playing a director. And they're doing this new adaptation of The Snow Queen, starring the diva star Christina, played by Marion Cotillard. And the girl, Jean, gets mistaken for an extra. So before anybody knows, she's in the movie. They dress her up. She's in the movie. And then she starts having quite a fixation on Christina the star. And then before long, Christina returns that fixation, and you're not quite sure why. And she starts finding reasons why Jean can be even more a part of the production than she was before. So it's very mysterious and dreamlike and surreal. And the director, the visuals are just great. They're very tactile. You can feel the snow. You can just feel the weather and the wind and getting into this warehouse out of the elements. And, it's very patiently paced. The performances are really good. And it's just very, very mysterious when you find out where's this relationship going? We think we know what Jean wants out of it. What does Christina want out of this with this young girl? And when she finds out she's an orphan. So it does drag a little bit in spots, but overall, I mean, nobody here wants to build a snowman. I'll tell you that. This is not that kind of Snow Queen. But if you're familiar with that Hans Christian Andersen, fairy tale, this is a darker, and a lot of those, as we said before, a lot of fairy tales have very dark origins.
Yeah, his almost all do.
Yeah, and this one is a trip to some of those darker, more psychological origins of that. So I liked it. It's maybe a tad long and a couple of dry spots, but for the performances and this girl too, the young girl, her name is Clara Pacini, and I think it's her feature debut, and very, very good, very good. As a young actor. So it's worth it, especially if you like international films. You're going to get something good, like you said, with Marion Cotillard, and a new take on a fairy tale, The Snow Queen. It's called The Ice Tower. That's in theaters now.
A documentary next that focuses on Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist Patrick Oliphant, whose career spanned 5 decades and 10 U.S. presidents. It's A Savage Art, The Life and Cartoons of Pat Oliphant.
Here's another feature debut for the director, Bill Banowski, and it gives you an introduction into this legendary political cartoonist. Even if you don't know the name, or you probably won't know his face, you've probably seen his political cartoons over the years. I mean, decades and decades. He won a Pulitzer Prize for his political cartoons, and they're great. And that's mainly what this documentary does. You, of course, get to see a lot of those political cartoons, and you can see just why they're so good. But you get Pat Oliphant's background, who he was influenced by, and then so many cartoonists after him were influenced by him and his legendary work. He is still alive. Unfortunately, he's had a medical condition where he can't draw anymore. But they do talk to him, and you have interviews over the years. He is not the most forthcoming person about himself, so they have to turn to family and colleagues. And then you see a lot of archival footage through the years. But these cartoons are just fantastic. I think the thing where it missteps a little bit is because it brings up a couple of very important points when you're talking about political cartoons. The fact that as of we sit right now, there's an increasing threat to the free press and to speaking truth to power, especially by newspapers and media outlets. And also you have the internet and things like memes taking the place of political cartoons. And of course, they're not the same thing at all. The savage art, as the title says, these cartoons, especially when they're as good as Pat Oliphant's, are pieces of art.
Yeah.
They really are. And the wit behind it and the insight, as one of his colleagues said, that if Pat wasn't a cartoonist, he'd be an assassin. I mean, some of his zingers, you talk about zingers, boom, right to the heart of it. And they're just set up so well. And also, this is another thing I didn't know. He originated that. You see other political cartoonists do it. They'll put a little character in the corner saying something that maybe fills in for themselves. He started doing that with a little penguin called Punk.
Yeah.
And the little penguin would be there making a comment about something. And then later on, you've seen other cartoonists do that with a little, not a penguin, but something else where they make just a final comment, standing in for their own personality, which I didn't know he started that. And that's fascinating too. So I liked it. It could have dug in deeper to some of these other issues, but I think you get the feeling that really the director wanted to give you this legend his due with a big overview, look at all this fantastic art, and then maybe invite you to look harder, which a lot of good documentaries do. Yeah. So you may be wanting it to go a little deeper in places where it doesn't, but still, I definitely enjoyed watching it. And that is called A Savage Art, The Life and Cartoons of Pat Oliphant, and that's in select theaters. I would imagine it'll be streaming pretty soon,
would think
but
so.
right now you can catch it in select theaters.
Latest on Netflix follows head teacher Steve battling for his reform college's survival while managing his mental health. Concurrently, troubled student Shy navigates his violent tendencies and fragility, torn between his past and future prospects. Cillian Murphy stars in Steve.
Oh, Steve.
Oh, Steve.
Steve-O.
Yeah.
No, Cillian Murphy, always good.
He is always good, and also not in a lot of lighthearted romps.
I was just going to say, when I hear that Cillian Murphy's in a movie, I'm thinking, well, this is not going to be a laugh a minute, but that's all right. He's great.
He's so good, and he's so good in this. He plays the administrator and I think geology teacher at a school in England for troubled youth. And they have been just funds cut to the bone. So at the moment, they only have an incredibly small, wildly overworked and underpaid staff, and just a handful of boys, of lads, maybe 12, maybe 15 total. And today, on this day, a news team is in who's filming. He thought was going to be a 2-minute segment, and they stayed the whole day and capture all this. And on the same day, he learns that school has been sold and they're going to be shut down. So there's a lot going on. And what I think one of the impressive things about the movie, the way it's shot, a lot of it handheld, it just captures the absolute chaos of this school and these lads and the way they behave and what they're like. But then, little by little, I think because of Cillian Murphy's performance and the way that it's filmed, what you get is a look at the love that no matter how overworked and fed up and annoyed and realistic the staff is about these young men, that they love them because they see themselves in these people who need someone to care what happens to them. And it's really heartbreaking, not debilitatingly so, but I mean, there have to be moments of heartbreak in this movie for it to work, because they really are. There's something very clever about each of these people, something worthwhile about each of these people, and something so broken and dangerous because they're strapping young men. And I think the movie gets all of that at the same time, where you understand why people want to write them off. You understand why people want to run away from them or lock them up for fear. And you understand their own internal conflict. And it's really well made. It's very touching. And of course, as always, Cillian Murphy is just magnificent. Also, Tracy Ullman plays one of the other teachers, and she's just great.
No, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No, she's wonderful.
And that's Steve, and that is on Netflix. Right now.
A thriller next. In 1849, a widowed doctor escorts a freed slave and her daughter across the West to find a distant faith healer. The mother believes the girl is possessed. The doctor suspects disease. But one fact remains: everything the child touches dies. It's Killing Faith.
Good old Western.
That's right.
Guy Pearce in a Western. He seems to like Westerns.
He does like
Westerns. And that's
Western.
fine, because I like a good Western.
Yeah, I do too. Guy Pearce, though, he seems to like scripts. That guy, he makes like 20 movies.
He does. He makes really a lot of movies.
And a lot of them are terrible. And to be honest with you, he's not good in some of them. But every so often you get just this gem. And of course, that he was nominated for an Oscar for last year. So, I mean, he's a great actor.
Yeah, he is.
He just makes too many movies. And this is one where, so he plays a doctor who in the Wild West, and there has been, voiceover tells us, there has been a sickness. And at one point, Joanna Cassidy, who's so good in a small role in this, she says, there's only one thing everybody respects, and that's the sickness. And so he has not been able to save anybody. He's lost all of his patients, and he's sort of developed a fondness for ether for that reason. And so he keeps just waking up in the jail. He doesn't, and then DeWanda Wise plays a woman who needs to get her daughter to the next town, several days away to see a doctor, because he doesn't just cure people with medicine. He's a faith healer, and she believes that there is an evil in her daughter, and she can't go unescorted. It's against the law. Plus, besides the sickness, there's bounty hunters out there who've been killing people horribly. And of course, it's just the Wild West. And so you can't just go a woman and a child on their own, but you can't get anybody to go with her. So finally, the doctor goes with her because he needs the money. So you got these three. They're on this trail, and they're joined by a young man who lives with the family, DeWanda Wise's family, who's simpleton. And one of the things I love about contemporary Westerns, as opposed to like the old classic Westerns, is that everybody's weird. You run across nothing but weirdos out in the middle of these as you're sort of traveling, through the West. And this is no different than that. Everybody they come across is just not right, so wrong. And in really fascinating ways, Joanna Cassidy in particular, it's just a great scene. And some of those scenes, the movie reminds you that it's a bit of a mashup, a Western horror, and maybe a little bit supernatural as well. And that's really, I think, the point that it's getting to, right? This man is a damaged man. Westerns are always about redemption. And he's trying to redeem himself because he couldn't save anybody. He couldn't save his daughter. So now he's got to try to save this little girl. And that's his arc. And when it sticks close to that, it is boring. It's predictable and plotting and trite. When it gets weird, it's really, really interesting. And the performances are great. DeWanda Wise is wonderful in this. Bill Pullman shows up toward the end as the doctor that they're trying to go see. He's great as well. But Guy Pearce is just, he is a really good actor. He just takes too many roles that aren't good. But he does a great job with this. And on the whole, I mean, it's not a classic, but it's good. It's definitely worth catching.
And the co-writer and director is Ned Crowley.
Crowley.
That sounds like someone who should be doing Westerns. Ned Crowley.
Or Satan movies.
Mr. Crowley. Ned. So that's worth checking out if you like Westerns, a thriller Western. That's Killing Faith. And that is in theaters.
Streaming on Amazon Prime this week, a ruthless thief and his expert crew stumble onto the heist of a lifetime. Play dirty.
Shane Black.
Shane Black remembers how much fun Ocean's 11 was. And this one, Play Dirty is a good title for it because they play dirty. And this is, I guess, based on a series of books, the Parker books. And Parker here is played by Mark Wahlberg. And he is the ringleader. And at the beginning, of course, there's a big heist and there's a double cross and the heist went way wrong. So now Parker wants some payback for who was behind it, and also to make this big score that involves this treasure that is going to be sold or maybe stolen. And how do they do it? Maybe they'll steal it from the people that steal it. And so it's a lot of heist planning. Lakeith Stanfield, great to see, shows up. Also Rosa Salazar. And so there's a crew and a lot of heist going on. But I'll tell you, it's mean. I mean, there's so much indiscriminate killing, and it doesn't have the comedic tone to pull that off. It's just mean. And Shane Black has that snappy dialogue. You can have that, and some of it lands, some of it doesn't. And also you really have to turn your brain off to a lot of it, because when they're doing these plans of the heist and then things happen that probably take a lot of planning but just happen, and we didn't see it get planned, and we don't, like Ocean's 11, go back later and find out how the whole thing came about. Just, okay, that was set up. You found a reason to do that. And how do you know that this gun is under here? So there's a lot of that. But it's a streamer. So it's not as, as spoon-fed as a lot of those streamers are. They don't keep repeating the information over and over because you're not paying attention. But still, it's a heist. A lot of people get killed. Pretty much who the bad guys are, who's going to get their final comeuppance. It's just really dumb. And it's not, Shane Black certainly has his moments. This one just seems like a lot of people, not Lakeith Stanfield. A lot of people just seem like they're going through the motions here. Lakeith Stanfield tries to make a character out of his supporting role, but Wahlberg seems like he's going through the motions. Rosa Salazar is kind of fun, but it's just terrifically mediocre. I mean, it's better than a lot of these straight to streamer thriller things, but I was just surprised, I guess. But I was complaining earlier about not delivering what you promised. But with a title like Play Dirty, they do. Yeah. They play real dirty and just seem to not care about it. And all right, and that's fine. But just as I love a heist movie.
I know you love
a heist movie.
I know
this one just doesn't have. It's right there in the middle of the So I can't really recommend Play Dirty. That's on Amazon Prime right now.
And one more, a horror comedy. A plumber and his germophobic son are forced to get their hands dirty to save the residents of an apartment building when a genetically engineered, bloodthirsty creature escapes into the plumbing system. It's scared shitless.
Okay, so I can't say I love horror movies. I'm not, aside from blood spatter, I don't love the body fluid situation.
She doesn't. No,
I don't
Doesn't like to see on-screen vomiting.
No. And excrement as well. So I wasn't super excited about this movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's quick and it's funny and it's gross. It's nasty gross, but it's got a very fun sense of humor about it. And it opens with Mark McKinney, Kids in the Hall. Mark McKinney.
Nice.
He's a scientist. And he's trying to keep Julian Richings, who you'll know his face, especially if you like horror movies, back from Cube. He was in Cube. He was in Anything for Jackson. He's in a lot of horror movies, and he's also just delightful. And he shows up at the lab. He knows about Project X. And then you see Mark McKinney just kind of holding his hand over the sign on his computer where it says Project X.
He crushes his head.
I don't know what you're talking about, Project X. Right. And then he turns into a chicken lady. Anyway, I digress. It's dumb funny like that, but it is funny. So this Project X, which is this nasty looking, like nasty giant wormy thing with teeth and a mouth. Bleh. Anyway, it gets loose and it winds up in the plumbing of this high rise, which reminds me, it's very clearly a Canadian movie, and this part of it reminds me very much of Shivers, of the old Cronenberg film.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's after something different. And so it's one of those movies. It's stuck in this one place. There's just toilets, bathrooms. What's going on in this apartment? A lot of blood. What's going on in this apartment? There's a lot of poop jokes. There's a lot of testicles floating around places. It's just gross. People die you don't expect to die. And they are really eviscerated. It's very, very sloppy. But it's also, sort of bright and cheery and funny and quick, quick. It's well under 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's some really funny needle drops in this. It was just a much more, given how gross it was, quite charming and I would say borderline delightful. So I love horror movies. I am not the target audience for this movie. And I really enjoyed it.
And that's it. That's Scared Shitless.
That's right.
And that is
streaming.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to envision that title on a marquee. So that is streaming. Scared Shitless. Okay. Daniel Baldwin, the Schlocketeer, under the weather.
He is. I hope he's feeling better soon. He's got a sore throat. We need him to get better because he's coming to Columbus for Nightmares Film Festival in a couple of weeks.
Speaking of, yes, if you're anywhere, speaking of loving horror movies,
That's
and
right.
if you're anywhere in our area, the Nightmares Film Festival, one of the top-notch, if not the horror film festival.
Yeah, genre films ever.
Amazing. It's amazing. So many great films, so many great people, fantastic networking opportunity if you're any kind of a filmmaker.
A great venue, too.
Great
Unlike a lot of festivals where they have sort of shuttling you all over town, it's in one really lovely theater, the Gateway Film Center, and which is where we do our Fright Club podcast. It's just a great event.
It's the best. And this is the 10th year, 10th anniversary. So extra fun. Again, that's October 16th through 19th at the Gateway Film Center, Columbus, Ohio, Nightmares Film Festival. Love to see you.
Do it. Okay. I'm doing a workshop.
That's right. That's right. She's doing a workshop on writing across platforms for books, screenplays, which is going to be great. And we always record other podcasts there. And just have a fantastic time.
Yes.
We put it caught up. We never leave.
We never leave.
So come see us. Looking ahead to next week, though, we've got Tron Ares, the latest in the Tron series.
That's right. Also, House of Dynamite, Catherine Bigelow's new one.
The new Kiss of the Spider Woman comes out. Interesting.
That's right. Chain Reactions, which is a documentary about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I'm thrilled by.
Also, another documentary, John Candy, I Like Me, is out next week. There he is.
There he is. I'm excited about the John Candy movie. Also, Roof Man, which looks pretty fun.
One called Deathstalker.
Oh, excited about that one. Yeah, it's a great remake. Freaked.
And Orwell. Is that a documentary or is that?
It is.
Okay. And so that's all next week. Obstacle Corpse.
That's right.
We
That's
do
what
have.
you should watch
We do have hard
spooky
copies.
season.
But also it's available to stream, including on Tubi for free. Love to have you check that out.
Do it.
Let us know what you think. Enjoy it. Run for your life. as a tagline. So until next week, man, enjoy these movies. So much to talk about. You can always find us and keep the conversation going. MaddWolf.com is the main website. MaddWolf Columbus on all the socials. So enjoy the movies. Enjoy spooky season. Until next time, she's Hope Mad.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.